Our story begins at a time not past or future. Hot, dusty wind beats against his face. His eyes open to the sensation of a serpent curling through his feet. There was nothing holding him in place. No chains, no rope. Yet he couldn't move, not even to kick that foul-looking beast away. The serpent was black. Its eyes were black. His teeth were black, and when it flicked its tongue at him, he saw that it was black too. And to make matters worse, he didn't know where he was or how he'd got there. He looked around, the sand-filled air scratching his face raw and bloody. There wasn't a building in sight. Nothing but a red glowing sunset in every direction. The serpent wound up his body, constricted him every inch of the way, stopping at his neck. It had held him there and stared in his eyes. He wanted to look away, but goddamn it, he couldn't. There were whispers in the wind. Voices, first one screaming, then 10, and then 20. Before long, it felt like he was surrounded. It wasn't enough that he couldn't move. He couldn't even focus his thoughts enough to see what happened next. The snake reared its head back and struck. It unleashed a venom into him. And with every pump of his heart, that black tar, that scum, was forced further through his body. Oh, and with every beat he saw pain. He saw suffering. Oh, he saw all those bodies burning, all those homes burning, and all their possessions and animals. Those goddamn fools. His eyes turned black as he passed out. The snake slowly uncoiled itself to the ground and slithered away. The man's body hit the ground. The sound of dirt hitting wood woke him. He opened his eyes to black. All around him was black. No room to move, his feet pinched together as if the box felt narrower down that way. Dirt again hit the box, and a man shouted, "Hey, how about a break? This will be my third plot this morning." All right. Give you some water and let sweat dry, then get back to it. We got 2 more to dig, 2 more to bury." "2 more to dig?" the first man shouted. "From where?" "Well, not from here," the other man said, now closer. "A goddamn graveyard." Our mysterious subject awoke in a pine box being put under. He pounded on that lid, asked him to let him out. The grave diggers fell silent, and their shovels hit the dirt. "You ever had a live one in there, Abel?" "Well, hell no," the man we now know to be Abel shouted. We gotta dig him out." "God damn it, Aiden, the boss don't pay us to dig him unless it's to put someone in the hole." Aiden and Abel stood bickering over the half-buried grave. They argued about what they were paid to do, what morally was right, what they'd want done were it them down there, and finally, the conversation drifted to the undead.
"Oh, what if he eat my skin?"
"I'm not dead in here, and I'd like to be let out," the man from the coffin said. Aiden asked Abel again how many times the dead had asked to be let out, to which Abel replied not once. After some coaxing and reassurance that it'd be 2-on-1 if there were a walker in there, they agreed to let the man out of the coffin. Aiden pried the lid open while Abel stood at the ready to take that bastard's head clean off at the first sign of trouble.
"No, I will."
2 grave diggers decided they'd let this man out. Made sure he knew they'd put him back if he caused any trouble.
"Be dead again, boy."
"I don't want no trouble. I just don't want to be down here anymore." Aiden helped the man from the coffin to his feet. He don't look dead." "Well, none of them do after some dressing and makeup," Abel grumbled. "Hey, what's your name, fella?" Aiden again chuckled. "How you sleep long enough to pass for dead?" Was it a trick Abel entertained? Pretending to be dead so good that his kin forgot about him, he could finally go to the pond and drown a worm.
Free at last.
I don't think I was asleep. And I was hoping you knew my name, 'cause I can't recall if I... The man from the coffin had stopped. If I ever had one at all. Aiden let out a deep sigh, knowing that this was the part of the cemetery for the unknown in the town called Dirt. Those they found dead, but nevertheless deserved a proper burial. Aiden was almost sad as he relayed that information to the man from the coffin.
Yep,
Abel replied.
the only thing we know about you is you were found out east of town. Base of a tree with a noose around your neck. Like they stayed long enough to see your killing was done. Well, we was all sure you were dead.
The man from the coffin weren't sure where he was. He asked the name of the town. Now, Dirt was every bit what the name implied. It was a working town, just like those everywhere you looked. Dirt. No, it couldn't grow finer plants. They'd have named the town Soil if it could. What grew in dirt could grow anywhere. These folk were like weeds. Give 'em a drop of rain and some sun, they'd make it work. The man from the coffin rubbed his neck in confusion and discovered the noose still hung around him. Abel, somewhat embarrassed by the fact he remained, stuttered,
The mortician, he said it didn't matter if we took it off. I just loosened it a bit before he stopped me.
The man from the coffin removed the noose from around his neck and asked Aiden if he had a bag. Aiden nodded yes and went back to the mortician's house. After a while, he emerged. Now, don't tell anyone, but anything these folks have worth keeping is kept.
Mm-hmm. That's called grave digger's rights. It's real, too.
Well, the man had never heard of grave digger's rights, and nor did he care. He just needed a bag to put that noose in. The man from the coffin stuffed that necktie in the bag and threw it over his shoulder, and then asked if anything of his had been worth being kept.
No, we brought you as we found, noose and all. Now I think it's best you be on your way before a mortician comes, and that's why we busted open that coffin, and where his corpse went.
The two men, now well rested, went back to work and buried what was left of that coffin. The man walked down the road towards town. He again rubbed his neck where the noose had been. This time he felt a sting, like a bug had bit him. Now he wiped the wound to check for blood and found nothing. Wasn't that where the snake had bit him, he wondered? The hot wind scratching his face raw. The red sunsets from all sides came rushing back. Not a mark remained from what he could only describe as a dream, but he felt sick. He felt dizzy. He fell to his knees and began to retch. A black tar poured from his mouth. He found his strength and he stood up. He kicked some dirt over it.
You all right?
A voice shouted from afar.
My pappy always told me the cure for one too many was one more.
That logic held true for many, but the man felt that it was just a circle of addiction and regret. Nevertheless, he subdued his inner voices, thirsty as he was, and agreed to let the stranger buy him a drink. Two men pushed through the doors of Dirt's only saloon, the Prairie Dove. Another busy afternoon in this house of ill repute. Folk gathered to play cards, a pistol on their belt, a gal on their lap, and a drink in their hand. Now, it wasn't the kind of place to meet your next missus. It wasn't even the kind of place you told your current swoon you'd ever walked in front of.
Nah, this was a house built for sinning.
Oh, those walls, they smelled of smoke and love. The kind you paid for and left so another fella could find a bed. The two now one-sided fast friends went to the bar counter, and the stranger, who hadn't stopped bragging since they met, ordered a few rounds. The man from the coffin laid his feet between his bag as he sat next to him. Well, that stranger drank and rambled on from, I done it all, to my accomplishments are many, to world's greatest lover. The pair drank, the stranger talking, and the man from the coffin listening. The stranger never mentioned his name, and the man never wanted to ask. The sun drew set, and the party in the Prairie Dove raged on.
I could drink you under.
The stranger now past his limit slurred. His every word seemed wetter as if the drinks he had too many of now were attempting to work their way out of him. Drink me under what? The man from the coffin asked, now tired from the barrage of self-indulgence. Still, he felt he owed the man his time in exchange for those drinks. Stranger, in his anger stage of drunk, poked the man from the coffin in the chest. Underground, under the table, I don't give a damn. He finished his drink, angered by the very question. Well, since you got wit to spare, how about money? Why don't you pay the damn tab? The man from the coffin told him that he didn't have any money, and reminded the stranger he'd been invited for that drink. Well, that stranger snatched the bag that sat at the coffin man's feet. I bet you got something worth having. Well, nobody flinched, or even noticed what was about to transpire. Well, they were too busy drinking and gambling and grabbing body parts that weren't their own. Well, that stranger pulled the noose loose and dumped the bag upside down. Seeing nothing else fall free, the gears in his head started turning. Well, what kind of man carries a noose? You're either were meant to hang, or are here to hang someone, the stranger shouted, holding the noose high. The busy room hadn't noticed a damn thing, and not the cheating of cards, hearts, or even that poor rape of one of the working girls damn near in the middle of the place. But it went quiet like a snowy night. There wasn't much in dirt that could silence a room like this, but a man with a bounty, or looking to collect one, could. Well, which is it? The stranger drunkenly shouted. I don't know why I have it, the man from the coffin said. It was half a lie. He knew he woke up dead with the noose that morning, but not who dressed him in it or why. Oh, but it didn't matter. Bounty was worth money, dead or alive. And if he were a bounty hunter, well, he wasn't welcome in the dove, let alone dirt. These people were weeds, after all. You know what you is, the stranger snarled. And it don't matter if we know which. It's handled the same here. Oh, the people of dirt had seen this before. Maybe not a man with a noose, but a stranger on the run or hunt. Now, it didn't matter which, they'd string him up and hang him. They'd take him to the marshal the next town over and present the body. If there was a reward for that bounty, those involved would drink that money together. And if the dead were a lawman, well, they'd just say they found him this way and thought it best they show the proper channels what'd been done. The room felt smaller to the man from the coffin. Maybe it was fear. Most likely it was the patrons of that prairie dove were advancing inward. Oh, he felt sick. Too many drinks. He couldn't hold it down. Hell, maybe letting it out would buy him time. Well, that thick black tar, that scum that left his mouth did in fact buy him a few minutes. But the mob didn't mind the tar or the smell for long, as he was quickly subdued. His head bagged and his hands tied, he was carried out and thrown on the back of a horse. He didn't know where he was going, but he knew that it was nowhere good.